Hey, it's Bob here, and I want to use this video to do a year in review of my 2018. I'm also going to share with you the two biggest transformations in my business. But please know up front here that this is not all about me for a couple of reasons. One is I think a year in review is something that everyone could benefit from. And so if you don't do this, if you're already just looking ahead to the new year, plowing ahead about all this cool stuff you're going to do next year, that's cool, but it's a lot better if you can first look back and count all the accomplishments and all the cool stuff that happened, lessons learned. I'm going to encourage you to do this process too. And regarding these two big transformations, I've got some lessons and how they can apply to your life and your creativity and whatever good that you do in the world. So you ready? Let's jump into it. So early this year, I started meeting with this gentleman who had taken a liking to me, and we started meeting on a weekly basis. We did this for the first 2 or 3 months of this year. And he basically played the role of a mentor, of a coach. And I had never had like a one-on-one relationship like that with a coach. I'd formed mastermind groups, with friends or groups of people here and there over the years. This was the first time it was kind of like a one-on-one thing where I was the recipient of a coaching or mentor relationship. And it was very eye-opening for me because he didn't like overwhelm me with a huge to-do list. It just helped me get clear on what I really wanted, asked a lot of questions to get me to uncover some things that I wasn't thinking about, and I started seeing some results in my life and having a lot of clarity because it was a little bit, to be honest, coming out of a funk at the end of last year. And so it was very helpful. And one of the things that came out of that, I realized the importance and the benefits of having a coach, of having a mentor, someone who's objective, that just focuses on you maybe once a week, and to help you clarify things. And I thought to myself, wow, I wonder if I should be serving in that role for more people. Now, I have done coaching and consulting over the years, but it's very sporadic. I mean, I've done dozens of like Skype sessions with people. There's always been a page on my website, and every few months or maybe once, 2 or 3 times a year in the past, someone would reach out to me and pay to get on Skype, and I do a 1-hour session. But they were very infrequent, and because of that, I never got really well-oiled providing that service. And so I was a little hesitant because I had kind of been telling myself a story over the years that, well, that's not my ideal way to serve. I just prefer to write the books and create information products and podcasts and disperse them and all this stuff. But I started thinking more about it. And with the encouragement of this mentor, I took a very different approach. I just didn't make blanket announcements about, hey, I'm coaching now. In fact, there's a good chance that you may not even know that I've been doing that. I just didn't do that shotgun message, hey, come on, anyone who's interested. And it didn't really work in the past when I had tried it. So what I did instead was I wanted to choose the people that I wanted to work with. The first thing that I did is I made a list of people that I already knew and who already knew me, who are already maybe fans of my work, some people I'd met over the years at conferences or just online. And I already knew them, and I knew that there was no selling involved. They already knew who I was. They got me, And this list kept growing. I made a list of people, and then one by one, I would reach out to them personally with a personalized message saying, hey, I'm doing this coaching thing now. Let's get on the phone or on Skype and just chat about it and see if there's a match here. And just doing that simple process, it led to me, on average, over the last several months, speaking to maybe 5 or 6 people a week for about an hour each. And this time around, probably because I was choosing the people I wanted to work with, it was a much more enjoyable experience. And because I was doing it regularly, I sort of got well-oiled doing it. I had tools and things that I could apply to whatever situation. While there are a lot of commonalities, like I find when I'm dealing with several different people, we're all humans, and so the same things come up, the fears and the questions and the uncertainty and all that are common. But each person has different needs. Some people are comfortable with marketing and they get away maybe from their art, and they need to create more and scratch that itch, and there's a frustration there. Some people are so into creating the art and the music and they're frustrated or confused about marketing, so they need a little help there. So I sort of adjust my coaching to what the client needs. So at the same time, there's commonalities, but also I tailor this to the individual person. And it's been really cool to watch the people that I work with get results. And so it's just been very satisfying. I've got some great friendships now that I didn't have in the past. I have my finger on the pulse of what other artists besides myself. I've been self-employed in the arts, and I, rub elbows with people, but on a weekly basis, communicating with some of these folks gives me a really inside view of the triumphs and the struggles of creative people. So that was a big transformation. So what's the lesson for you? Well, there are probably things that you're good at, maybe opportunities that you're not leveraging. Like I had written this off, and reaching out to people, I guess, reminded me of the good that I've done in the world over the decades that I've been at this. Because, of course, not everyone I reached out to. The majority of people that I reached out to with these personal messages were like, oh, thanks a lot. Really like what you do, Bob, but the timing's not right. But some people were so thrilled that I had reached out to them, that I had thought of them. And it's like one of those deals where the timing was perfect. They were just talking to somebody about how they need this kind of thing in their life. And so if I had just sat back and not reached out, we wouldn't have uncovered those opportunities. So if there's something that you want to accomplish or a service you want to offer, don't rely on the blanket, shotgun, hey, I'm open for business, come and get it. Actually, it's the one-on-one personal communications that's the most powerful thing. And if you've done any amount of good in the world at all, that will come back to you. But sometimes you have to be proactive and not just sit and wait for it to come to you. Reach out to individuals and say, hey, I'm doing this thing now. Let's talk about it. There's no pressure. But if it's a good fit, let's do it. So make a list and one by one, reach out to people with personal messages and try to communicate in that way. It's a big lesson for me. That's one of the things that gets the most results these days. So think about incorporating that into your life. Okay, so here's the second biggest transformation in my business, and it is the explosive growth of my YouTube channel. This is just blowing my mind. I first got on YouTube in 2006, so at this point, I've been on it for like 12 and a half years. At the end of the first 10 years, I think I was at around 4,000 subscribers, which is decent. That's respectable, but it took a decade to get there. And that's what's like half-assing it. Just didn't put a whole lot of emphasis on it. But then I got curious. And so from year 10 to 12, I jumped up to 20,000 subscribers. It's crazy. I'll tell you how I did it in just a minute here. So here's the deal. Like 6 months ago in June, early June of 2018, I posted a video. I just looked back to confirm this, where I was celebrating reaching 20,000 subscribers on YouTube and 2 million channel views. That means across all the hundreds of videos that I've got on YouTube. Here we are about 6 months later, and just yesterday I checked my stats and I doubled that. I'm now at 40,000 subscribers and 4.2 million channel views. So it took me like 12 years to get to 20,000 and just 6 months to double that. That's nuts. I'm very blessed. So what the hell am I doing? I'm just going to give you a quick overview here, but basically it started about 3 years ago when I just started playing around with some ideas I had, things that I was interested in, that I saw other people doing, that I thought this would be cool to try this out. It started off like 3 years ago where I posted music for a purpose. So like it was just instrumental music that I created myself in GarageBand on a Mac and posted it, and it was like music for creativity and music for brainstorming and different purposes like that. And I threw it up there and kind of forgot about it. And then a couple of months later, I looked at my analytics and it was starting to get views. I'm going, that's interesting. Oh, wow. So people are searching for this thing. So music with a purpose. Then there was something else that I was using YouTube, and I've been a big fan of personal development and meditation. So I'm always seeking out like guided meditations where someone's kind of walking you through relaxing or visualization or whatever with like some soft music in the background. And to me, a lot of the things that I was finding were not satisfying. Either I didn't like the person's voice, just didn't resonate with me, or the background music was too loud or too busy. So it was one of those deals where like, well, I can do better than this. So I started tentatively creating my own guided meditation tracks, posting them on YouTube. And what do you know? They started getting views. So I posted more of them, and those were getting views. And I started doing affirmation videos that featured affirmative statements that you repeat back to yourself. So I was already a YouTube power user consuming other people's content, so I was familiar with the platform. I took an interest in learning a lot about it and reverse engineering how the successful channels were operating, started applying what I learned and experimenting to my own stuff that I was putting out there. And so I'm no dummy. When something's working, I'm gonna feed more of that out there. I love creating these things, and I started getting feedback and actually building a fan base of people who enjoyed my meditation stuff. So that alone, and I really doubled down on it. I've been posting, multiple videos a week for the past couple of years. Not all of them are on the meditation stuff. I still do stuff with inspiring messages from musicians and so on. It's a crazy, wide, chaotic variety. So I don't recommend that you take my approach to YouTube. But these meditation, affirmation related things are what has really taken off and exponentially grown my channel. So how can you apply this to your situation? Well, I'm not suggesting that you do meditation tracks. It's very competitive on YouTube, and I'm just lucky that I kind of broke through. But the lesson here for you is to experiment with things. Try different stuff. Ask yourself, well, what if I tried that? It has to be really stuff that you're genuinely interested in, and maybe you're not satisfied with the current thing that's out there, or the things that you're finding, regardless of what the product or service is. Create your own. Just throw stuff out there and see how people respond to it. If you notice something is taking off, go into it deeper, put out more of that. Do they continue to respond? That's really the way to discover opportunities, is just to have fun, be playful, try stuff, experiment, put it out there and see what the world responds to. Instead of being rigidly held to, I'm gonna make it this way and this way only, there could be offshoots of what you do, things that you're genuinely passionate about and good at and don't mind doing, that could bear fruit for you and impact people and earn money. All right, so that's the lesson for you. And besides that, other highlights of the year included an improv workshop and a show that I did with Laura Hall, who's the piano player from Whose Line Is It Anyway? We became friends years ago, and a couple years ago, we actually came out with a book that we wrote together on musical improv. But Laura and her husband Rick came into town. We did a workshop with about 14 or 15 students and then put on a show for like 100 people. That was one of the highlights of my year. So much fun that night, a lot of laughs. Speaking of improv, which I've been teaching regularly in St. Louis for like 5 years or so now. Committed to a weekly Thursday night schedule. I had been doing like 2 Thursdays a month for the first 4 years, but it's going so well that now I have these weekly drop-in classes and monthly shows and do a couple of extra shows here and there. It's just a big source of joy and fulfillment in my life to teach and perform improv comedy. And there's nothing better than delivering the gift of laughter to an audience. Seriously, it's an important thing. I think we all need to laugh and lighten up more. And then attending the CD Baby Music Conference in Nashville back in August. That was another fun trip. So I'll stop there. Those are the highlights of my 2018 year in review. And so again, I think this would be good for you to look back on the year, and before you beat yourself up about what you didn't do or start looking ahead, let's look back and reflect and count the accomplishments. I bet you if you sat down and go through your calendar for 2018 and write down all the things that you did, things you accomplished, cool events, maybe concerts you went to, whatever it is, some of the highlights with your family, with your friends, what you got out into the world, whether that was a book or an album or whatever, and list them. And I think you will be amazed at the things you actually got done. So take a moment, give yourself a high five or give somebody else a high five, pop some champagne, celebrate those wins. You can also ask yourself, what lessons did I learn? Don't beat yourself up about what you didn't do, but what are some areas you could shore up and improve on in the new year? What are the lessons learned from the so-called failures? Because if you took action and you got a result, congratulations. It may not have been the result you wanted, but it was still a result that you can learn from and build upon. And so do those two things. List your accomplishments and celebrate them, and then make some lessons learned on things that maybe didn't quite go the way that you had thought, or maybe you didn't get around to certain goals. And then look ahead with that information from that foundation and start plotting out what you would like to get out into the world, what you'd like to do, who you'd like to become in the process. And don't forget those first 2 lessons that I gave from my transformational year is 1, the importance of one-on-one communication and relationships. So make a list of people that you can contact about whatever goal it is that you're pursuing, and one by one reach out to them personally and have a conversation. And that will often be the most impactful thing that you do. And number 2, related to YouTube, is to experiment, play with stuff, throw stuff out into the world, Just don't hold it to yourself and try to intellectualize how well it's going to do. Actually put it out there and see how people respond to it, and then pay attention to what's resonating and do more of that if it speaks to you. All right, so wherever you're watching this, if you can leave a comment or send me an email or something, let me know about your year in review. What are your accomplishments? What are your lessons learned? And what are you looking forward to doing and being in the new year? I really appreciate that. So again, thanks for listening. Happy New Year, and I'll talk to you soon. This is Bob Baker. So long for now.